questions earlier. Anybody can come say what we have covered so far? Yeah. Anybody would like to say?
I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Towards the assignment,
Okay.
is there like any kind of a template for the cover paper, or like how is it to be, like, for example, the teacher's name, center, is it, because we need that format exactly, because normally that's how it should be, like the teacher's name, the center, and all. Possibly they have like a cover paper that actually indicates wherein you just fix it in, or we are the one that will create the cover paper. I don't know.
I'm not able to hear you properly. A lot of disturbance is coming. See, ask everybody else to, mute
Yeah,
their
yeah.
mics. Yeah, yeah. You
Yes,
anybody else?
Dr.
Okay.
George.
Yeah, you tell me, Tommy.
Yeah, yeah. He was trying to ask a question based on the assignment,
Yeah.
whether on the assignment, like Sabdi, please put
Sabit,
your mic off. Huh?
yeah, good. Okay. Yeah, I can understand you. What is the question
Yeah,
about the assignments?
yeah. He was trying to ask about the cover, like when you are writing assignment, how should the cover page look like?
There's no cover. No cover is required. Nothing. You just write your means it is because I think you are submitting it typed and on by soft copy you will be submitting, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
So, so there's no need for a cover as such. Just write your name and enrollment number and your course date, whatever means. Just it so that it is identifiable. The first page can have that. In fact, the assignment also gives what you should be writing, isn't it? I think on the assignment instructions on the assignment also you will find these things. So what course, all these things, whatever is your details, you can write. So that is irrelevant because yes, if it is not there, then we will not know whose assignment it is. But because it will be uploaded on the LMS, you are uploading the assignments on the LMS, isn't it?
Yes.
Uh, so you will be uploading on your portal or your link. So I think that would be there. So once you have uploaded the assignment, then one of us, whoever is there, like he will correct those assignments. So basically, this they were saying that those who have been taking the classes, they will correct it. Okay. So only thing is now when you are writing it, your writing should be, presentation should be very good in the sense your question answer should be very good. Firstly, it should not be copied. You can't word by word you are copying. Um, you have to, and you should be very brief to the point. See the amount or number of words. Say it is 400 words or 250 words or 50 words. So or 75 words. So please be around that much. You know, you can be little bit up and down, but not too much. Then write it well, have headings, subheadings, paragraph numbering, some paragraph, so that you can, the one person who is correcting it, reading it, he can understand that what you are giving. It is not in a jumbled manner. So I think then because in any case, you are referring to the SLM, the material which has been given. You may add your own examples or from your own experience also. Yes. Okay. Now, another thing I would like to tell you. about the question type of questions, because these are multiple choice questions. So, one thing is that whatever you are being taught, that means even what is given in the assignment, you are learning all the things from the reading it also, because these are counseling sessions where we are just guiding you how to go about it. It's not a classroom full teaching that everything will be covered. So when you are going through your SLM, the material which is there, reading material, please go through it thoroughly. And in disaster management, you have lot of case studies, because examples of disasters have been quoted all over. Every time you are talking of these disasters. So some questions on these all will be asked. Say, I've been telling again and again that in India, they have been talking of the Gujarat earthquake, Bhuj earthquake, the Odisha super cyclone, then um, others also, no doubt. There are so many examples of disasters which have been quoted in various places. So, in that course, wherever it is quoted, that can be also asked. So, let's say response. I think they have mentioned some places about different disasters, how it has happened. So, that can be asked also. So, something about it. So, uh, what are the organizations which were functioning there? We have been quoting that in various places, and so things like that could be asked. Then, which like uh, we have spoken of IDNDR, International Decade of Natural Disaster Reduction. So you should be like one example is there. So it can the question can be that what is IDNDR stands for. So one correct will be given and three wrong will be given. So you have to select the right one. So you have to know these things correctly. ISDR. Eh, So then um, there is other things in remote sensing. We were talking about it earlier. Uh, so it could be some sort of other, uh, organizations or which are there. So, so these you must be knowing. Okay. Okay. So now uh, we have covered disaster response. We started with the disaster response plan. Plan is a very important aspect uh, for this. Then the communication, participation, and activation of emergency preparedness plan. So how the plans will be activated? That is, you will put the
Uh,
plan, implement the plan.
yes, once again, I want to come up with something. Hello?
Yeah, Joseph.
Yeah, as per the dissertation topics, I considered one, but like it's certain it's India, but like I want to actually get it for Sierra Leone. It's on oil fires cause and effect, but the case study is India, but I want to do it for Sierra. Can it be possible?
No, I am talking about the questions that are being asked. So, if it is being asked about, say, Bhopal gas tragedy, let's say, so you have to answer about that only, isn't it? So, there'll be no uh, choice in that. Whatever is asked, you have to answer that. So, you can't change the case study. Whatever will be asked and whatever is given in the book, this SLM, that is what you have to also means that is part of your that is the complete syllabus, that is the complete aspect of your studies. And of course your answers, especially in your assignments, because the term and exam will be multiple choice questions, so there is no scope left to change anything. Whereas in your assignment, when you have to quote some example, means if it is not specified that you describe, say, Bhuj earthquake and the response in it, isn't it? So if it is
I'm
just something you are writing, then you can quote
I'm
from anywhere else also, no doubt.
I'm I'm talking about the project, the research project, the project.
Project.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Pro,
It's
pro,
on oil fires, but the case study is in there. But I want to do it for Sierra Leone.
the project we
Will
will
it?
cover on project day. Okay, because let us first finish this today's
Okay.
topic. Then in the end, I will spend 5 minutes on project. Okay, I will do that. You have got the project guide, so you have to project handbook. So you have to follow that, whatever instructions are there, and you have to send a synopsis for approval. You have to have a guide. Okay, any of the counselors can be the guide, and you have to send it for uh, approval. The synopsis has to go for approval. Okay, and so you have to upload it on the LMS basically with the guide's name and other thing. Okay. No, so project you should start now only. Yes, case studies can also be there. It is given in that what type of this thing, but case studies does not end with only uh, just describing about the event. You have to bring out some what is the lessons learned from it, isn't it? So something you have to add from yourself also in that. So that will can be a very good study. Okay. So I was just covering on disaster response that we have covered. The plan is a very important aspect. Then implementation, when the plan will be activated. So and uh, then logistics we had covered, need and damage assessment, disaster response by central, state, district, and local authorities. Then we have spoken of armed forces and other paramilitary forces, other things, military forces. Then response by police, others, youth organizations, and so on. Home guards, and we have civil defense forces. So they are all. Then others, multiple stakeholders are there. International organizations are there, NGOs are there, community-based organizations are there, civil society is there. So all this. Then we spoke about the psychological response also, and then along with it, trauma and stress management, humor and panic management. So today we'll start with minimum standards of relief. So what do you understand by minimum standards of relief? This is unit uh, 12. Yeah. So you can open your unit. I am having little system problem. I'm not able to share my presentation, but we'll still go ahead. So now,
Right.
shouldn't there be
Sir.
standards in
Yes.
relief?
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
I
Adam.
think, based on my understanding, this minimum standard of relief has to do with the let's say the amount of food that is minimum to supply to that population, because assessment have been done initially and the number
Yeah.
of the occupant of that people of that area have been known, and the disaster have been forecasted and estimate has been done. So if you say, let's say, like you have 100 people that are affected, you cannot come and bring the food that will be enough for just 40 or 50. What will happen to the remaining 50? So the minimum standard should has to do with the minimum food supply, water for drinking, sanitary part, the shelter that you can even provide, the first aid treatment, that is the ratio of personnel to the victim, and also the security that you provide in that environment. It should all be of a minimum standard that at least it can cater for the need of those people, based on my own understanding.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
very good. So what you are saying is providing the minimum quantity required for the people over there for various items, isn't it? The right
Yes.
quantity to be provided. So,
Hello.
yeah,
Yeah, I also wanted to add something on what my colleague said.
yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah, on the basis of the minimum standards for relief, uh, what I just wanted to say is that for the issue of relief, yes, organization have got a minimum standard, the standard that are always set, set when reliefs are being given out. Like, for instance, in our country, for caste-related programming, the standard that is set is like each and every household can be given uh, around $118 based on the feasibility that was studied. And normally, these are the standards that are set by WFP. This is just I wanted to give more on light to what my colleague has just shared with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, yeah, you are also right in a way, but I will like to add that now we are talking about disaster response. So, and the standards in the response, you know. So, relief is part of response, no doubt, isn't it? Now, what happens? Uh, uh, one idea or one point which comes to my mind after you saying that so many dollars is to be given to each person or family or something like that. But after a disaster, the relief which is given is an immediate sort of thing to save life, firstly, then save property, save people from injury, you know, uh, and not have further deteriorate, and then to survive these things. So, money will not help at that time. Normal times, yes, poverty elevation, normal development projects, other things, money may, and later on for rehabilitation, reconstruction, money is required. Houses are broken, but response is immediately after, and relief and response is immediately after a disaster. So when the person is in a floods, you know, or the earthquake has come, and 2 hours after that, or 10 hours, or one day after that, it is not money. Money, he'll put it in his pocket, but he cannot survive with that money. Yes, food is required because his everything has been destroyed, and you have to even see whether giving food at that time is a raw material of food, grain you are giving, and vegetable and meat. Will it help? He can't cook, you know. So this is where the standards come in. Now, one is the quantity you had mentioned, but along with it, uh, you have to be very careful about the good. It should be of proper quality. Generally, what happens is that people who are donating these things, they think that they are giving it as a charity, so it can be of any standard. Let's say clothes. So you may give old clothes, no doubt, because that will be useful. But if you give torn clothes, how can people wear that? Or let us say, uh, it has happened here in India in super cyclone when Odisha case when it came. Lot of aid came from abroad. So what happened? Let us say from Europe, they sent clothes. Now the clothes are the skirts and blouses for the women, let's say. Now, in Odisha, the people don't wear skirts and those tops which the women wear in Europe. Now that would be useless. Most of it cannot be used for by the masses. Thousands of people required clothes. I'm just giving one example. Another thing was uh, a lot of biscuits came from, say, European one country, which were basically kept for their some space mission and other places. So they were getting overdate, so they sent it here. Now that is, I'm just giving an example. These are rare cases, not that it happened very much. From my personal experience, I'm telling you this thing. So these become useless because you can't eat biscuits. Yes, little bit biscuits are required, but you can't only survive for days and the children are there. So what you require is there'll be for children some milk is required, and feeding for different type of children should be, or different age group it will be different things required. You know, so and then the rotten food cannot be given. But then it comes there, it is raining, the weather is going bad, there's no storage, it is kept in open, so it will rot. So these are the things which have to be, this is what we mean by standards in relief. Now, this is very important. So now things are coming. There was a huge photograph of Odisha super cyclone. Lot of clothes came, people donated. So how they did, they just, the clothes were collected in different cities and bundles made, loaded into trucks, and the trucks came to, it after a few days of traveling from, say, Delhi to Odisha, it's more than 1,000 kilometers. So, and over there, they unloaded it in a, they had made a big stadium which was made as a godown. So there were huge pile of clothes lying there. Uh, it was all jumbled up, mixed up. So it was all useless. So much effort has been done in, sending it by trucks, loading it, sending the trucks. All the expenditure has been gone, but it can't be used because whatever has come, say clothing is to be distributed, it should be sorted out in sizes, in types, what is for men, what's for women, what's for children, and then the weather condition. Say if the clothes have come from Europe, is very cold country, so they send woolen things here in India, and Odisha and Gujarat and all these are tropical areas, uh, more like your place. So it won't be, you can't have woolen clothes in the summers wearing, isn't it? So, this is what we have to look at on these type of things. So, uh, this minimum standard in relief, I think I have written this one for this. If you can see in the beginning, probably in the book, long time back. So, there was worldwide. There was a project Sphere. I don't know anybody has heard. Sphere is it? So it is, you can download its manuals are there. It gives how much and quantifies also. You can download the complete book. So it divides the things into certain categories, and there it is. It gives for each of them. So how much of it is required? So how much water is required? Let's say per person, you know, or there'll be little bit required for washing also. For drinking, how much is required? Minimum requirement. Then sanitation requirements, medicines also. Say vaccination is to be done. So vaccinations are being sent from the other countries or aid as a aid. So how much vaccination is required? So it is laid down in that, because vaccination will be that, let us say there's a population of 10,000 people. Everybody has to be vaccinated. So how many vaccines you will require? And they have to be vaccinated, say, twice. So how many you will require? How many should come so that everybody gets proper vaccination? So 10,000 people are there, twice it is to be given or done. So that means 20,000 is a straight away. But so this sphere handbook, it lays down that for vaccination, only vaccination coming is of no use without the syringe, the needle, isn't it? So along with the vaccination, how to give the vaccination also should come. So nowadays, the vaccinations are coming along with within those packaging is like that. It is within the syringe itself with the needle you just fit. So all these needles and all these have to become. Now, if there are 10,000 people and 20,000 vaccines are required, so 20,000 syringe, 20,000 needles, and other things, there will be uh, swabs required, cotton, other things, all these antiseptic or let's say. Uh, so it is laid down that, let's say, in addition to this, there should be 10% extra. There can be some wastage, some losses, some damage. So these are also laid down in that. I'm just talking of one example only. Similarly, like food, shelter, water. So these are laid down in this sphere. Is a very good this thing, and this is being adopted, had been adopted. So this sphere project was there almost 20 years back, and then they laid down all this because they found that things just came haphazard without any standard, and then the right quality has to be there. It has to be maintained in a proper temperature. It has to be, let's say, maintained in chilled conditions at particular temperature, like vaccines now for pandemic, this COVID-19. Different vaccines have to be maintained, different types of vaccines which are there. So Zeneca is there, and COVID shield we have. Then there were others also. So some are to be maintained at around 4 degrees centigrade. Some have to be maintained at minus 15 degrees centigrade. You know. So if you have to maintain it at minus 15 degrees centigrade, you have to have a cold chain. So it becomes useless in even in India. It is very difficult to maintain a cold chain everywhere. Maybe in big metros or some places you maybe have it. So those vaccines are not of much use. You agree with me that if you can't keep them at the because so that is the standard. You can't have spoiled medicines, vaccines coming, spoiled food, clothes which are not. So this is what we are meaning by standard. So it has to be quantity, it has to be quality, and it has to be every means it cannot be that you are giving the say the cereals, food, cereal, wheat or rice or whatever, but no cook how to cook them, or people don't know. So all these have to be planned and everything in our planning stage only. So in the preparedness in the earlier, so then only, so first unit which we have covered was of planning. Now, so the sphere project or the sphere handbook, firstly it starts with a minimum humanitarian charter. So um, so it has a humanitarian charter because that is most important. So now humanitarian charter in this has been taken from the is based on the principles of the international humanitarian laws, international human rights laws, refugee laws, code of conduct for the International Red Cross and Red Crescent movement, and NGOs in disaster relief. So there's a code of conduct also for them. The charter describes the core principles that govern humanitarian action and asserts the right of population to protection and assistance. So, what we call victims, actually, that is the human people. So, it has to be a humanitarian work. It has to be with proper empathy, with full feelings toward them. And these people have a right, you know, for proper help to be given. So, so this is what the international law also says. Now, so humanitarian charter, what does it give? It gives the right to life with dignity. Then distinction between combatants and non-combatants. Now, this is we are talking of generally where there are refugee situations, where there is because of war and other things. So there is a, yeah, different rules for combatants, means the those who are fighting, soldiers, uniform, and for non-combatants, means other population, civilians, because both become casualties. The civilians also become casualties, especially during war. Then and others would include sick, wounded, and prisoners of war. So there are in under this charter, these are there. There are a lot of UN principles are there on this. So there are Geneva Conventions are there. So a lot of things are there on these. Another thing is the principle of non-refoulement. In that no refugee shall be sent back to a country in which his or her life or freedom would be threatened on account of their race, religion, nationality, membership of a particular social group, or political opinion. So, now this charter, humanitarian charter, so it's based on the principles. There are some a Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948, International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights of 1966. So these are internationally agreed agreements. Have all the countries. These are through the UN, most of them. Then International Covenant on Economic, Social, Cultural Rights of 1966. The four Geneva Conventions. There are four Geneva Conventions of 1949, and then two additional protocols were added in 1977. Then Convention on the Status of Refugees 1951 and Protocol relating to the status of refugees of 1967. Then Convention against torture and other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment in 1984. Convention on Prevention and Punishment of Crime of Genocide. So this is another convention of 1948. Convention on the Rights of the Child of 1989. Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination against Women, 1979. Guiding Principles on Internal Displacement. This is internal displacement principle. 19. Now, you will say that these are being violated, when you see physically. But see, at least we must know about it, and we have to try to implement that, because all the countries have signed these. And these are the ideal best practices which should be followed. Okay. Now, first thing, this was the humanitarian charter. Then we come to the minimum standards. Now, so basically, they cover all the possible forms of appropriate humanitarian assistance. What assistance would be required in a disaster. Uh, so basically, it is humanitarian assistance and in disaster response. So now you can categorize these minimum standards. That one is those relate directly to people, rights of the people. And second category you can give is those which are relating to the agency process which help ensure people acquire these rights. So these are the two uh, parts it can be divided. So, and some of the minimum standards, they cover both the parts. They combine both these parts. That is for the uh, rights of the people, for whom you are giving this, and also the those how the agencies they should be processing these things. Okay, so there are now this minimum standards can be covered into 5 parts, core areas, basic one.
Hello,
Yeah.
hello, sir.
Yes, Sombit.
Yeah, I have something I wanted to raise forward. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, as we are moving on, me, I'm getting a bit lost, although that I'm getting you clearly. What I know is that we are discussing Unit 5
No, no, we are
of disaster
discussing Unit
response.
12.
Unit 12.
Yeah, we have already discussed 5.
Yeah, I was trying to, yeah, I was trying to look into the lecture so that I will be able to,
Yes, yes.
be in, yeah, but it seems like I'm lost, but I think it is okay. It's always good to raise
Yeah,
questions
yeah,
so
good,
that I
good.
will
Yes,
be in the
yes.
page.
I think
Yeah,
I started with saying that you open your Unit 12 minimum standards of relief. That's what. See, Unit 5 we had covered on the second day. So today is the fourth day. So we had already covered. Unit 5 was disaster response, central, state, district, and local administration. Isn't it? See, we are on
yeah, for
MPS
sure.
005, disaster response. Hmm?
Yeah, I think we are on Unit 12 in MPA 005, right?
Unit 12, yes. So Unit 12
Unit
we are
12,
covering now. Minimum
yes.
standards of
Minimum
relief.
standards, yes, for relief, for
Okay.
standard relief.
Yeah, yeah. I hope now we are moving on well. It's
Yes,
Okay.
okay.
yes, Ambe,
I'm
we are
clear
moving
with
on.
that.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now
Mhm.
what I want to tell you is that, see, they have covered, means it's a good way of covering also because you can, we see in India also when we started having this, I was involved with them in this after this Sphere handbook came out, and then our National Disaster Management Authority came up, so they also adopted. So they adopted a lot of things from these. Of course, some standards they change little bit depending on the local condition, but these are very good guidelines. And if you don't have anything better, then follow this standard. But if you have some, so are experts or you know. So now let us see the 5 core areas. It covers everything for or major broad issues in relief. So minimum step. So first is on water supply and sanitation. So water supply is taken with sanitation. Water and sanitation goes together. Second is on nutrition, minimum standards in nutrition. Third is minimum standards in food aid. Then fourth is minimum standard in shelter and site planning. And the fifth one is minimum standard in health services. So it covers all the things in detail. Now each chapter is in sections. It covers analysis, various aspects related to the standard and related human resource capacity and training also, what all is required. So this is a very comprehensive thing which are laid down. And you can download this also if you go do a search for minimum standards in relief sphere project. You will get this. It's a book there which is covering all these. It's available on a soft copy also. Now, so it gives you the level of disaster assistance uh, that the people would require, irrespective of their background, political, ethnic, geographical, specifically. So it is applicable everywhere. And it gives the requirements for life with dignity, and indicates uh, everything qualitative and quantitative values, means how much quantity and what are the qualities for that standards to be there. So, and also for its assessment and evaluation for that particular thing. So, analysis would cover the technical conditions, impact on the technical conditions. So, these help you in identifying the needs, design the programs, monitor and evaluate the effectiveness, and ensure participation of affected population. So, each analysis has three standards for. So indicators, let's see for each of them. So first you do is an initial assessment. Then second thing on standard is on the monitoring and evaluation, and then is on the participation, how is to be done for each of this. It is also described in that. So these are described in detail on these aspects. So then how the people will handle these. So it lays down the competency, the support, and the local capacity. So competence means they have specific, uh, things are laid down for the staff who are, so that appropriate qualification is there for an experience for the duties that they would be doing for handling these. Then support is for the members of disaster affected population receive support so that they can adjust, and optimal use of this assistance is given. And then local capacities and skills should also be enhanced. So all these are part of the this. So these are not only just laid down the quantity, it is also the quality and how this is to be done. So all these aspects is to be done. And the people who are handling these, that also is laid down how they should be doing. So let us see one by one. I want to spend a little more time on this because this is a very, very important aspect. Now, first standard is on water supply and sanitation. So in this standard, you are talking of, or you are covering water supply, excreta disposal, vector control, solid waste management, drainage, and hygiene promotion. So this is, you can see how important it is, because water and sanitation is also linked to wastewater, isn't it? That causes, so all which will be, so these things are very important. Firstly is supply of water. So water supply standards. So first thing would be given in that. So there you are talking of access and how access to the water, sufficient quantities required for drinking, cooking, personal and domestic hygiene. So public water points are sufficiently close to shelters to allow use of minimum water requirements. So indicators are, so at least 15 liters of water per person per day is given. Flow at each water point is at least 0.125 liters per second. That means if you have put a tap, the flow of water
Prof, it's like we lost your audio. I don't know if I'm the only person.
Yes, yes, me too.
Yeah, me here too.
It was
I also,
interrupted.
he might be having a network issue. We need to just wait for some time.
Yeah. Sorry, I think the connection just dropped. Okay. So it gives 15 liters of water per person. Then the flow, you put taps or something, the flow of water should be 0.125 liters per second. It can't be just taps are put and water, very little water is coming. So how much it is? So there is at least one water point per 250 people. So one water point is there, and the maximum distance from any shelter to the nearest water point is 500 meters. Now this is how the standard is accessing, how you can have access to water. That's the first point. Then second thing about water is water supply standards is water quality. So first, water has to be palatable, sufficient quality to be drunk, that people can drink it, and use for personal and domestic hygiene without causing significant risk of health due to waterborne diseases, chemical or radiological contamination from short term use. Now, what is required is, it is given also the quality of the water. There are no more than 10 fecal coliforms per 100 milliliter at the point of delivery for undisinfected supplies. Sanitary survey indicates low risk of fecal contamination. For piped water supplies to population over 10,000 people, or for all water supplies at times of risk or presence of diarrhea epidemic, water is treated with a residual disinfectant to an acceptable standard. So then total dissolved solids are no more than 1000 milligram per liter, and then no significant negative health effect due to chemical or radiological contamination for short-term use. So these, just see how much detail. This is just a summary. There it will be, you will find, I think this book is about 300 or more pages, maybe more. So it's very good. Then water use facilities and goods. So
Hello,
people have
Ustad.
adequate facilities and supply to, yeah,
I didn't see any screen. Is there any screen?
yeah. What do you see?
Sorry, I didn't see any screen. I only see your face. Visual.
No, no, my screen is not showing. There is some problem in the system. So
Oh,
that's
okay,
why I said you can
okay,
open.
okay, okay.
I
I recently
tested in
joined
the
it, the
payment.
session. Yeah, that's the problem.
So that's
Thank you,
always.
thank you, thank you.
Uh,
Uh,
okay. So water use facilities, where the water supply is given. So uh, so to collect, so you must have some facilities for collection, storage, and use sufficient quantity of water for drinking, cooking, and personal hygiene. So here you will require to say that each household has two water collecting vessels of 10 to 20 liters. You know how much detail it is given here. And have you ever thought that in reliefs you have to provide these type of things? Then there is 250 gram of soap available per person per month. Soap, how much soap is? 250 grams of soap per person per month. So then, where communal bathing facilities are necessary, there are sufficient bathing cubicles for bathing at an acceptable frequency and at an acceptable time, with separate cubicles for men and for women. When after disaster in relief, you will have to put up camps and other things. People are, evacuated, they are brought there. So these camps should have all these facilities. So it is not just anything you think of. These are laid down. So you have to be guided by these. You'll then only it will be a better disaster management. So where communal laundry facilities are necessary, there is one washing basin per 100 people, Private laundering area are available for women to wash and dry undergarments and sanitary cloths. So all these are laid down. Then similarly, there is excreta disposal standards. So on access to and the number of toilets that are required, then design and construction, how these are to be made, how they'll be used, vector control standards, another thing. So for individuals and for family protection, for physical environment and chemical protection measures that are around in that area, good practices in the use of chemical vector control methods, and solid waste management standards, next thing. So now I'm covering it quickly so that we can go to the next. So similarly, drainage standards are there. Then hygiene promotion standards. So hygiene also, behavior and use of facilities, then on water supply and program. Then there is also on funerals. So people have the resources and information necessary to carry out funerals in a manner which respects their culture and does not create a risk to health. So now all these are water quantities in addition to the minimum standard for basic domestic consumption are now it's given the standards. Say for public toilet for is you require 1 to 2 liters per use per day for hand washing and 2 to 8 liters per cubicle per day for cleaning toilets. See, this is also laid down. Or so how much water you will cater for, say population of 1000. So based on this, you have to work out. So this all can be done in your planning stage. But the plan you are making, they will have all these details. That's why we are covering these so that you make very good plans. And then also how. So all the about the water. Then the second standard we were talking of was the minimum standards in nutrition. So first is general nutrition support to the population standard. So nutrient supply. So key indicators will be level of moderate malnutrition are stable at or declining to acceptable levels. There are no cases of scurvy, pellagra, or beriberi. These are the diseases due to nutrition. So like that it is given. There is access to a range of foods that is staple, that is cereal or tuber, pulses or animal products, fat sources, etc. And there is access to vitamin C rich or fortified food or appropriate supplement. Iodized salt is there. Access to vitamin A or fortified foods. Access to uh, Nyakra, niacin, that is pulses, nuts, offal, if the staple is maize or sorghum. So like that it is laid down. Then food quality and safety. Food that is distributed of sufficient quality and is safely handled. So as to be fit for human consumption. So key indicators are. So all these are laid down in that. So then we spoke of food. So in this nutritional support, moderate malnutrition, there's severe malnutrition there, then how much food should be given and type of food, how it is to be seen. So all these details are given. Micronutrient deficiencies there, then how to judge it. Then minimum standards in food aid, next thing is there. So food aid requirements are, one is general ration. So it is a complete basket of food commodities in quantity sufficient to meet the requirement. Then a complementary ration. So provide one or two food commodities to complement existing food available and accessible to the. So whatever food is available, so to complement that, you may provide additional things. And supplementary ration. to provide specific food as a supplement to the general ration in order to cover the needs of particular group. So these groups would be malnourished individuals, young children, pregnant or nursing mothers. For them, supplementary ration is required, other things. Then requirement standard. So it is 2,100 calories per person per day. That means the food that you are giving should have about 2,100 kilocalories per person per day. Then 10 to 12% of total energy. Out of this, 10 to 12% should be provided by protein and 17% from fat. Adequate micronutrients intake through fresh or fortified food. Estimates of people's food and income source, including consideration of how do you estimate that? Market and income opportunities, foraging and wild food potential, agriculture seasons. So there are all these things are laid down over there. Then targeting standards are there. That is the recipients of food aid are selected on the basis of food need and or vulnerability to food insecurity. So how do you select? Like vulnerable means lactating mothers, women will require, they'll be targeted for special food. Then there are distribution standards for the food. Now we come to the next thing is minimum standards in shelter and site planning. So housing standard, that is shelter. Shelter means housing that you are providing. So living quarters, people have sufficient cover space to provide protection from adverse effects of climate. They have sufficient warmth, fresh air, security and privacy to ensure their dignity, health and well-being. So their key indicators, the cover area available per person has to be 3.5 to 4.5 square meters per person. So this is and like that. Along with it is in the shelters would be clothing standard. So people have access to sufficient blankets. Children up to 2 years old have at least one full set of clothing and hygienic material appropriate for the culture, season, climate. Women, girls, men, and boys have at least one full set of clothing in roughly the correct size, appropriate to the culture, season, and climate. In addition, women and girls have to be a regular supply of sanitary protection. Then, culturally appropriate burial cloth is available as required. Now, household items. Each person has one eating plate, one metal spoon, one mug. Each person has access to 250 grams of soap per month. There's a planning for durable items to be replaced when necessary. So all these things have to be seen. Environmental concerns. So fuel, economic, cooking implements and stoves are made available. People have access to and make use of fuel, economic and low smoke wood stoves. So like that, stoves have to be provided. So what types of this? Then site selection. Now we are talking about shelter. So kitchen is one thing, they will be there. Then site selection. Site is suitable to host the number of people involved. So like that, there are details in it. Site planning to ensure sufficient space for household area and support people's security and well-being. So details are there for site provides 4.5 square meter space for each person. Cluster of living areas or village groups are established. People it should not be displaced. Same group people can be given together. So, and empty areas of land for possible future expansion should be identified also. So like that, a lot of things are. Then security. So personal liberty and security for entire affected population. Site is located at a safe distance from possible external threats to physical security. And there are many factors you have to know these. Environmental concerns, because so all these are part of the shelter. Then next last standard, fifth standard is minimum standard in health services. So first is measles control standard. So vaccination of newcomers. So like that, it is given how much percentage of children or new children coming. So reserve stocks, how much should be there, and things like that is laid down here. Outbreak control and case management. So control of communicable disease, the standards, monitoring what's to be done, investigation and control. Then how healthcare services standard. Healthcare service is now being provided, so the standards for that also appropriate medical care, how much intervention is required, how many people are required, like that things are given. They are laid down in this. So now this is a so in disaster response, it can be used in project cycle for assessment, where indicators can be used as questions and their references so that it can be planned properly. So in disaster preparedness planning, it can be used these standards for identifying objectives for training and raising awareness, producing inventories of material resources, clarifying processes and roles, advocacy tools, and for coordination amongst agencies. So this, I think we have covered a very, very important aspect. Uh, yeah, anybody would like to ask something on this? So before we move on to the next unit. Yeah. Anybody? Okay, next is unit 13. That is managing relief. Now, uh, I've seen also if you just take the, let's say, food, what happens, we have laid down the standards, but it is very difficult to have appropriate standards everywhere, you know. So,
Hello, sir.
yeah, Tombe.
Yeah, before we move, I have one question. I wanted, I'm keen in this topic. This is one of the most crucial topics that normally disturbs even humanitarian actors.
Yeah.
When it comes to preparation of, let me say, when you are developing concepts and you are not much aware of these standards that we are actually discussing, it will be very difficult for you to project some targets that are to be, put for responses. And to this, my question is, we do livestock interventions here, and we normally used to face a lot of challenges when it comes to the standards in livestock related intervention. What I know is that in livestock intervention, we have so far one standard, and the standard is called legs. But in the standard, there are specific requirements that are supposed to be there, but we normally do face a lot of challenge when it comes to some of the specific requirements that are there in the standard. And I also wanted to know whether you have some knowledge about these legs, so that you also let the team know about it as well.
No,
Thank you.
no, what is this like?
The leg standard, it is the standard for operations when it comes to intervention, like any disaster that happens, where destruction of livestock, when the deaths are there, you wanted to intervene in terms of like vaccination, if the epidemics, it guides actors that normally responds to these
Okay.
kind of issues.
How do you spell it? Just spell the licks.
Uh, Legs, it is
Licks. What you
yeah, it is LEG. LEG.
L. Okay, livestock. Yeah. So okay. See, this is of course, there are standards for everything, intervention, but what we are talking now actually confining this humanitarian standards are there. What Unit 12 was there, it is for humanitarian. So, similarly, livestock is also very important. So, intervention disasters for livestock, then livelihood by itself is very important. you know Building the resources also is important. So all these are but this is that would be different, whereas this unit 12 is basically covering the sphere standards. Sphere standards have been adopted by the UN international agencies. Actually, they have all adopted. But what happens? You can't enforce these standards. There is no law that it has to be this much. But uh, every country will provide its own as per the resources available. But what is the use of the standard? What I saw in our country when we started using it, I was aware at that time, and we were aware because the standards were being formulated. In fact, that time it was the draft standards, then some minor changes. But then I found that our government did not accept these standards like this. They made changes to it. Like one example I will give is that here they say that the vaccination, there should be 25% additional stock. Now, for a big country like India, keeping 25% as a additional than the actual requirement is a very, very high. So they have kept it to 10% additional, you know. So, like that, there are other things also. Then, my observation was that if we follow these standards in a developing country, then it is not a developing country, it is already a developed country. If everybody is getting food, as water, sanitation, health facilities as per these standards, isn't it? But that does not mean that we should not. So, these are the ideal places, ideal standards. Means this is my what feelings were there at that time. But then I realized that yes, disasters are very abnormal circumstances. So our first thing is to save lives, property, livelihood, all these things, how much you can save. So if you then once you have these standards, then when you are planning, when you are then you can cater that you should plan on these figures so that okay, when you are getting food, then at least you should get somewhere near this. But what it was there earlier, 40 years back, that if there is a disaster, somebody will send food. So only grain will come, but they won't have, vegetables or meat or other things with it, means which the people eat. So can you survive only on grain? Say only, maize or wheat or rice is come, but nothing along with, or no cooking method is there. So you just give them this, they can't eat raw, and they're already suffering, say, from floods. So how will they cook? So these standards give you things that okay, now people are doing with making a relief kit, family kit. So this kit is for 10 days, 15 days, 1 month. So they distribute like that also. So that we will, that is relief, managing relief. So let us see that. But yeah, you have mentioned about LEG leg. Um, I am not much aware of it, but I know there is a lot of things also done on this because during disaster, uh, there are a lot of things to be done. Of course, there are the plans have to be for the livestock also, for the animals, for the livestock. So there is a lot of things done. So I think we'll leave it to that. So let's come to the next uh, unit on managing relief. Now, what is relief management? So relief actually means when you are taking commodities and services there, you know. So you are taking food, you are taking clothing, you are taking shelter, you are providing medical, you are providing things like that, other services. So this is all is included in relief. So how is it managed in India? What tools we are using? Relief management, how the international agencies are doing. Let's have a little on this also.
Yes.
So, yeah, Tombe.
Yeah. I wanted to answer the question that you raised about relief management. Relief management, by definition, I will just define it like this. It is the effectiveness and relevance at which you respond to any disaster. It can be a disaster. It can be any other related development project. That one can be termed to be a relief management. If you
Yeah, that's right.
respond looking at the core humanitarian standard, it is okay. That can be termed to be relief management.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. It is related to our standards, you know. So, but now what we are doing is in a disaster response. Now we are studying on disaster response. So in that, what we are looking for in relief management, you're right. It has to be of everything what we have studied earlier. So uh, relief would be to distribute these things, the goods and services. Isn't it? Now, uh, relief has two components. One component is of getting these supplies and so whatever is required resources. So you're getting that, procuring it. So that is one. And second aspect is of distributing these to the so how do you distribute as per the priority? So and things like that. So these are the two aspects of relief as such. One is procuring, getting the things because so you have to plan accordingly. See, getting means how much quantity is required, where you are getting it from, how you are transporting it, where you are storing it, and then how you are distributing it, what method is followed, so that it is done correctly as we have seen. The standards are there, all these things. So, what is these components of relief management? So, that's given. Firstly, designate a person or a group within the supply section as the focal point for a particular disaster. Then establish a emergency supply team for targeted action-oriented implementation. Then coordinate through concerned department ministries with other partners and counterparts. Provide suggestions on potential supply sources. Work with the emergency task force. So then assess, yeah, assess source, price, and availability to determine local or offshore options where you will get them. Initiate procurement process. Establish an active communication mechanism that provides up to date about all supply activities. Then items not available locally coordinate emergency offshore procurement and monitor the procurement, supply, and distribution. So all these has to be done. So specific roles could be for assisting the government, other national and international agencies in the distribution of relief items, ensuring interventions are not duplicated and most vulnerable are reached, and that people in need receive the entitlement and compensation as appropriate. So in India, how is this done? So let's see at the national level. We have relief codes in India. Uh, these are formed in terms of state governments have relief manuals or codes. So these manuals are there. These have been from a long, long time, and these have been modified now or updated. These are, in India, they were more than 100 years old, relief manuals to deal with scarcity. So these have now been updated for disasters. So now, it contains the system of intelligence defining the authorities and officials in the relief codes, the program and estimates for various relief work, then reserves of establishments and tool, preliminary preparation and tests, declaration of scarcity and commencement of relief, powers and duties of supervising officers, including police officers, medical and public health officers. Now, this is of the government at the state level because they have the relief codes, and this is how. So, the plan at the state level should be based on these codes, isn't it? Wages and allowances on relief work. Now, this is basically, it started with drought relief. In India, the relief manuals or relief codes, which were earlier there, were focused on droughts and famines. Now it has been more updated for all disasters. So not only droughts, but other type also. So wages and allowances on relief work, gratuitous relief, that means money being given, rains policy and closure of relief, closure of scarcity. So when they say that, okay, now the relief period is over. So provisions for cattle and fodder, drinking water. So provisioning for the cattle also with fodder and other things also. Their veterinary services, other things also are part of there. Then procedure for maintenance of accounts, involvement of voluntary agencies, loans and subsidies, and relief for other calamities. I mean, basically, it was for the droughts, and then it is for all others also. See, in drought, say a lot of livelihood options are given, work programs are started. So that is another thing which may or may not be there for others. Then there's a calamity relief fund. Now, this is very important. There will be a lot of questions related to such things. So, CRF, what does it stand for? What is it? Role of central government is supportive in terms of supplementing physical and financial resources and complementary measures in sectors like warning, transport, and interstate movement of food grains. So, money is allocated in the CRF, Calamity Relief Fund, by the nation, and so the states also share some part of it. So another fund is the National Fund for Calamity Relief, NFCR. So very severe calamity this is used. So basically when the Calamity Relief Fund, more money is required for it, then this is also used. Then provisions under the National Disaster Response Plan. A lot of activities or responsibilities of primary agencies. Uh, there is again emergency support functions of the incident command systems, or we had spoken of earlier, So there will be different functions. So function number 9, it gives the responsibilities for the primary agencies, that is coordinate activities involved with emergency provisions, temporary shelters, emergency mass feeding, bulk distribution, provide logistical and resource support to local entities, operate a disaster welfare information system to collect, receive, and report status of victims, assist families, reunification, and that. And services may also be provided to disaster workers. Sometimes they also will be. So now, when we talk of shelters, so what type of shelters should be there? So we should go back to the minimum standards. So in that shelter, so mass feeding again, how much this should be there as per that. So that's the guideline. Now relief management, internationally also there are various organizations. So there's an emergency relief coordinator of the UN, yeah, and he assists the UN Secretary General with in-country heads assist them. So then various lessons are there from floods or other case studies, small ones are there. So you can go through these also. Now, along with this, there are some key concepts. Actually, in all the units, the key concepts are there. They are also very important because they cover basic information about things. So, how do you fund relief? That is Unit 14. So, I'll just quickly cover uh, funding of relief. So, because at naturally funding would be at the very high level we are talking of. So, in India, we are given the example of National Calamity Contingency Fund. We start calamity relief funds of the various states. So these are used. Then there are voluntary donations are used for which are short term. Then international organization or UN agency, they provide support over a period of time. So, and there are government sources as well as non-government sources for funding. So, how did the relief funding start? Because disasters are crises, so relief is required, and so food and other relief are provided to the affected people. Now, uh, the country uh, they have to provide relief. It is the duty of the government to provide relief to the citizens. So the responsibility is shared between the center and the state governments in India. So primarily, it is the duty of the state governments, and so earlier on, the agriculture ministry was the nodal department because of droughts and epidemics, and then it was transferred to Ministry of Home Affairs. We had covered this earlier also, so they are also involved in it. So there are other now non-government. Uh, uh, are there by involving communities. So NGOs are involved, community society organizations are involved, and a lot of measures are taken by these. So there's short-term and long-term funding is required for disasters. So immediate relief is there, is short-term, and then for um, reconstruction and rehabilitation, it's a long-term important. So source of funding is central government, state government, international agencies, civil society organization, corporate houses, and individual contribution. Now, if donations have to be given, in kind or money? Which one will you prefer? Which is better? Yeah. Anybody? Can you think on this? That,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. In kind support as well as money. For me, I will welcome them both, depending on the nature of the relief that the people need.
Yeah.
Because that one also it is attached with the relevance of how that intervention can be, can be done.
Okay. Yeah, you are right. See what
Okay.
happens. Relevance is more important. You are very right. You know what happened in India earlier? There were in countries which are, not developed. They're in a disaster situation. Uh, even if the money comes, they will not be able to buy the things because there's no things are not available. In a poor country, things may not be available, but in countries which are developed, so let's say in India, if a super cyclone Odisha it came there, so in that particular area there was no food available because everything was destroyed, or cooking could not be done, or transportation could not be done, or the stocks were gone bad. But then all over the country there was enough food available, isn't it? So if people are donating over food, let's say somebody gives 5 kgs of wheat, handling that will become very difficult. Somebody is giving rice, somebody is giving this, somebody is giving soap, somebody is giving. So now, how do you organize it and then handle it and then distribute it? So, in that case, yes, money would be better because then the government can buy bulk from other areas, or even import it, whatever is required. But if the, let's say, country does not have its own food, enough food supply, so in case of disaster, uh, shipment of food would be more welcome than just money. So it is on different uh, places you will have different requirement.
Yes, yes, yes. So I wanted to give more example on that
Yeah.
regard. Am I allowed?
Okay, come, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, 1 week ago, I did not attend a lecture for the last 2 days, last week. It was a reason that we traveled to one of the community which are much affected with the issues of drought. And on our finding when we went on ground, uh, on the finding, most of the communities are telling us that the most stressing issue that they have is that they really urgently they need water. Now, I just wanted to relate it to the example that you are trying to give. When we reach there, most of these people have started migrating because of lack of water there. Now, had it been that on the time when we were reaching there, if we were like to have given them food, it will have not solved their issue. What they are first in need is in need of is water, because it is the thing that is stressing them much. Without water, you cannot you cannot have a life. Water first, and the rest of other things comes thereafter. With this, I wanted to remind us with the in humanitarian operation, there is what we call a CHS, Core Humanitarian Standards. And this Core Humanitarian Standard, it has got 9 principles. One of the principles talks of appropriate and relevance of any interventions. And the second one talks of effectiveness and timeliness of any interventions. Like for what these people need on ground there, they need immediate help in terms of water. If water is provided for them, it will be one of the things that will solve their immediate problem in that context. This is exactly what I wanted to relate to what you are
But
trying
how
to
do you
explain.
provide water to them?
Yeah, water can be provided to them we can drill. We actually discuss as a team and as an office. We are planning to drill more boreholes in those water stress areas so that they will be able to have access to water.
Okay. So if
Yeah.
the water is available there, that is the subsoil water. You have plenty of it. At what depth is the borehole to be dug in that area?
Yes, for sure.
No, for till what depth? How many meters you dig for water?
In that location, in the geological findings, the meter that goes down can reach around 150 to 200. It is a water stressed location.
150 to 200 meters.
150 to almost 200 meters down.
Okay.
Underground.
Yeah. Yeah. Drought areas would have, that much, maybe even more also. So yes, this in India also. Uh, uh, but what about irrigation?
Irrigation in that location, it is it is not possible because there is no nearby. Uh, the place is completely dry. There are no nearby even rivers are not there, streams are not there. There is no other source of water in that
Uh,
area unless you
so
drill a borehole
how far are the
or a
rivers
dam.
from there? How far are the rivers?
River, it can be around 400 kilometers away from that location. Very far.
Okay. So that's what I wanted to bring out. In India, we have been making, not now, but a lot of time, in old, I mean, it is 40 years back, we had desert area. Rajasthan desert is there. It is called Thar Desert. And uh, so there are rivers from Punjab. Water was channelized there. A very big canal was made and water was brought, because otherwise the water was going waste. So from these rivers, and these are almost maybe 300, means about 300 kilometers away, and even more, means the canal is going even much more into another 200 kilometers, and so 500-600 kilometers of canal to bring water, and that area of desert, through which the water is passing, which starts say 100 kilometers away and then up till another, has become very green, fertile area. About 50 years back, it was total desert and the sandstorms and sand, and now it has become totally green area because of water. So, uh, long-term intervention for drought, bore wells will, have a lot of other problems because they will go dry when you deplete the groundwater. You take out the groundwater, you have to fill these reservoirs. How? Because there is not much of rain, there is no natural water coming. So after a few years, this water will vanish. So it will create a disaster, or a development which you are doing for them will become a bigger disaster in the long term. I mean, not that in your case, but I'm saying this is what is also happening in a lot of places. So, okay, but these are very difficult things. It's not very simple solutions. But yes, what you are doing is right. A lot of activities have to be done. Okay. So now we are going to the last of thing in disaster response. So that is recovery. So recovery, you are linking to this. So
Ah, Adamo seems to be having question. Adamo.
yeah, okay, Ram,
Adamo.
please. Yeah, come ask.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, tell me. Yeah.
Yes, what I'm trying to say is that about this tomb-based issue, I think apart from drilling boreholes to them, I think it is good they should think in line of getting plants that are drought resistant, like a plant that can grow with just a cup of water. I think that will go a long way to assist that community.
Yeah.
Uh, like in my area, we have such millet that you can only use a cup of water after planting it, and that is enough until the time of harvest.
Okay, good. Yes. So, see, drought, that's why in India, drought is managed by the nodal ministry at the national level, is the Ministry of Agriculture for drought. For all others, it is different ministries. No ministry for most of the disasters. But for drought specifically in India, it's with the Ministry of Agriculture, basically because the interventions are water related, agriculture related, and livestock related. Uh, then, of course, afforestation also part of it, planting of trees. All these are part of this, and it is a long-term intervention for drought. For all other disasters, you respond very quickly and finish off with your response. But for drought, there is no quick response. You are not responding for 2 days or 5 days or 10 days like an earthquake. So, definitely, the intervention or the methods used in droughts would be quite different. Then, in fact, for each, for earthquake will be different than floods, but for droughts it is totally different. These are long-term things. So now let us see in recovery. Now let us see the recovery, which is the next phase. So what we do is that restoration of the damaged physical infrastructure. We were first response, that is search and rescue. People immediately are dying. So if you don't help them, they will die. There's nothing else available to them, isn't it? Children, poor people, vulnerable, old people. So they have to be immediately saved. Whereas now you come to recovery. So that is restoring them back to their original condition and make and reconstruction. So to make their lives better. So basically, if you look at it, recovery would be immediate thing after the disaster, after the response phase, but it will merge into reconstruction, which is basically a development process, isn't it? So immediately in recovery phase, you will be supplying them physically with buildings are to be restored, installations have to be, you know, and people are living. So you will give them energy supply is required, water supply, electricity is required, and other things. Water supply, food supply, waste disposal, accommodation, transport, communications. So manufacturing and commerce has to start, and primary production, then health, law and order, local government, recreation and culture, and education. All these things would be, you have to start these things. The normal life has to move or have to be started. So you will have to do a lot of uh, things you can find out is what is the purpose of, before you do, there's some key questions for a recovery manager. What is the purpose of recovery process? What services are required? How should these services be given? Who is best equipped to provide necessary services? Then how and when should recovery services be withdrawn? Then when you should stop this. And so what do the people think of the restoration, reconstruction, recovery? What local resources can be utilized? Now, so what has to be done? Tasks which can be is to liaise with relevant response agencies regarding location, size, type, and potential impact of event. Contact and alert key staff and other relevant response. Determine likely human effects. Activate and brief relevant agency staff. So you are activating the recovery process. So all these activities you can do. Okay, you should be able to distinguish between the recovery and the response phase. So response process depends on urgency and short-term expediency, whereas recovery needs to be of more general. Since response is immediate, urgent, and recovery now, our response will go into recovery. It turns that same thing will be, because it will be a more long-term measure, so it has to be more considered. So in recovery phase, what you're doing is actions are concerned largely with problems of urgent nature which cannot wait. Unless urgent solutions are applied, problems will become aggravated. So in response, action defined by extraordinary powers, that means new legislation may be required, announce state or national calamity. The government will declare a calamity. Some countries declare emergencies. Setting up of state authorities, their actions could go beyond normal functioning of authority. So, but in recovery phase, limited action is required by the government on legislation or extraordinary such things. So, like that, there is a difference between response and recovery. So, what are the challenges during recovery? There is a delays are faced. Firstly, so because at the earlier planning stage, you had not considered it adequately, also, or you couldn't visualize everything that could happen. So, and the damage destruction is very severe. Then more information is required, and the government and the bureaucracy is overburdened with all these demands of post-disaster impact. Then there can be a role overlap of different departments. So interdepartment, interministry relations may hamper the formation of recovery programs. There could be personal frictions. Availability of funds would not be, political issues could be there, you know. So multi-party politics, political problems may arise over the some areas or communities. So image projection, so false impressions may be given, and supply sides constrained that things may not be available. And human factors would play an important part. There could be psychological impact. So, and getting out of shock may take time. So, what is the role being played by the media? And then communities have been relocated from their affected areas, uh, and it may be there may be delay in uh, returning back to their homes. Now, recovery actually is the process in which the affected community or the country or the area is assisted to restore normalcy in every aspect and move toward development. by overcoming the gaps which have been created in disaster. And the recovery manager is a person or a team engaged in any of the activities of reconstruction, restoration, rehabilitation, and overall recovery. So, with this, we cover uh, this 15th unit. So, there are 15 units. We have covered all of them briefly. Important phases. Yeah, anybody wants to ask? Yes, say something. Okay. But you can ask if you want to ask anything about this recovery or earlier unit or anything you want to add. Okay. So, uh, we can conclude our MPA 005 with this now disaster response. And now I'm sure you will be able to read your SLM and be able to answer your uh, assignments also. So, yeah, I've finished on this aspect. So, you wanted to talk, somebody wanted to talk about the project. So, project handbook you have got now. I think I sent it to the coordinator and she had sent it to you, given so you would have got it. So, go through it. It is quite clear. One thing is there, make a synopsis. It is around 2000 words. And don't make it too short or too big. Okay. And cover, see, it is layout of the synopsis given. So fill in all the details. Don't leave anything blank or don't ignore any heading in that synopsis. Select a topic very carefully. First you can select a subject, what you want to do. Let's say you want to do a case study, you want to do on coastal area, you want to do disaster specific, you want to do on preparedness, all these things could be done. Or you can
Excuse
take
me.
an organization, say a hospital disaster preparedness plan, or a school, or a college, or some big, or a village disaster preparedness plan.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
Yes, just to sorry for cutting you short. In regards to this project thing, I remember in the portal when we were applying, there was an option of either project or towards participatory management.
yeah,
And I think if
MET4.
I do, yes, if I do remember during the orientation, you may correct me. It was like for those who have chosen to do towards participatory management, it is something like a kind of assignment that you do, and then you just submit. So I
No,
don't know.
participatory management is a full course. It is
Okay.
like any other course. So you do the assignments and you do the term and exam.
Okay.
Both you have. And whereas if you have already given your choice. I think everybody in the initial stage only gives the choice. And if you have
Yes.
given the choice for project, then you have to do project. Then you don't have to do that course, participatory
Okay.
management. So one of these you have to do. So those who are
Okay.
taken for the project, those who have taken the project, they should immediately select a topic, and the topic should be something on which they can work, which they have access to it. There's no point taking some topic like what is happening in New York about disasters and you can't even go there. Okay, so take something or some other government department you take and you don't have any access to it. So take something simpler where you are working, where you know something, make a simple thing and do it well. So you have to submit the synopsis and then complete the your project.
Okay.
Okay.
So that means for those who are doing participatory towards management, we'll be expecting to do that course, and then we do assignment,
Yeah.
and that is all.
Assignments and term and exam both.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and then you don't have to do project. But those who are
Okay.
doing project, they don't have to do the course.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Clear.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Doctor, I also have two questions. Yeah. One of my questions is that how long will it take for us to work on this project? For those that are taking a project work, how long will it? How long will the period be? That is one. And second, from my side, I received email about this project guide, and the guide also for those that will be doing it through participatory ways. The other one I downloaded it, but for project guide I failed. As soon as I do download it, I'm unable to open the folder. That one tells me that maybe there is a problem from where it was sent. I'm unable to access it.
Why don't you do Google search? You put MPAP 01. That is the project. MPAP 01, isn't it? And you say project IGNU MPAP1, Google will tell you where it is and try that link. It is actually all these IGNU books. There is a Government of India website or this thing where all these are uploaded and kept. This is E-Gyan Kosh, EGYANKOSH.in, I think. So you just do a Google search, you will come to know. So you click on that, you will download it. All these are available
Yeah.
freely. All IGNU books are available freely.
One tower.
In fact, a lot of others are also available of other universities in India. So this
Yes,
right?
yes, doctor.
Yeah.
I think we all face the same challenge. If you can put that links on the textbook, then we can also check from there. Because I also download from my side, but it did not open.
It did not open. Yeah. Actually, today I'm working from my mobile. So, okay, I'll try. No, I'm saying do a Google search for MPAP1. It will give you so many options. You click on two, three, you'll find one of them will download. Any of these courses, just put that MPAP or MPA001 and it will automatically give you. Google will do all the work. It'll give you, and or you say MPAP1 download. You'll come so many sites. So try whichever works. Two, three out of them will work, and all will lead to e-Gyan Kosh. You know all of them. So link is with many of them. So if it's not working, then we'll give you. I'll then give you one of the links. Okay. Or you want it now? Let me try if I can get here on this. Let me see. You want.
I think almost all of us are having this problem.
Yeah.
We have problem. I think almost all of the students we are facing problem with this project because it is wasn't open. We have tried our best to open it, but it is yet to be open.
So even through the Google link, I've tried to work on it, and I downloaded it, but it is not opening it. Even through the Google link, if you download, you will not be able to open.
Okay,
Just
I
one
want
second.
to ask, are you guys talking about the project guideline or the other thing?
I'm
Hello?
asking about the project guide.
Tombe,
Yes.
manual. Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, Adam, I'm with you.
Project guide.
Okay,
I'm just
project guide,
trying to see.
the project manual guideline. Abi, is that what you're talking about?
Yes,
Okay,
Adamu, it is.
I'll just
Is
share
Okay,
the
talking about the project
I will
guideline.
share it. I will share it in our WhatsApp group. I was able to download and open it. I will share it in our WhatsApp group.
Okay.
That is great. You share
I
it
will
then.
share it there.
Adamo,
Yes.
Adamo,
Yes, sir.
you managed to download and open it.
Yes, I
It
open it.
has
It is a PDF document
if it has
for the
opened,
project.
yeah, if it
Yeah, I've
yes,
got it
you
here
can
also.
forward in the WhatsApp group.
Okay,
Yes,
send
yes.
it in WhatsApp.
Let me try sharing my screen if it should be the one you're talking about.
Yeah, you can share. You can share.
Okay, let me see if you have. The chat, yeah. Yeah, I have sent a link. You can see it in the
Okay.
message and
Yes,
just
we
click
have
on
seen
it.
the link.
Yeah,
We
just
are
click
seeing
on
it.
it.
We are seeing it, sir.
Yeah, click on it and you will open the project handbook will download. Just try it now.
Yeah, it's okay. Let me try it even now.
Yeah, just try it. Within 1 second it will download. Have you got it? No. Anybody tried?
Me, I'm trying it.
Yes, mine is now okay.
You
Through the
downloaded it?
links. Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
Okay, then you can share it with everybody. Okay.
Okay.
So similarly, you just type in any other this thing, you'll get a lot of info. Okay. So
Yes,
okay
sir.
then.
Sir,
I think that
sir,
has
you
worked.
have not answered my first question.
What what was your first question?
Yeah, I was asking. I say, how long will the project work period be? How
Yeah,
long will it be?
it depends on you. How long you want to work, how fast you can work. Start working first, you know, then you think about it. First, make the synopsis. I don't know how much time you will take. You can make a synopsis in 1 week. You can make it in, uh, if you maybe less, few days. And then once it is approved, you have to attach the approved synopsis with your final project. Okay, that has to be attached. So you have to first get the synopsis approved, but you can start working on your projects then because you have to do a review of literature. That means some books you have to quote them and little bit about them, what it about your topic. Even if it's a case study of something, then it will require. Okay. Hmm. Nobody can
Yeah,
say how
fine.
much time. Everybody will take different time, and some may not even. Means it depends how efficient you are. Yeah, and how much time you are able to spend. Okay, but it will mean like any other thing. It will take time. See, all these are of four
I
credits. 4 credits actually means you have to spend 30 hours per credit. So 4 credit means 120 hours you have to spend. That includes your assignments, your examination, everything it includes. So around 100 hours you have to spend on it. Okay, efficiently. But some may have to spend more also. So that's all.
Okay.
Okay,
So
anything
for those having
else?
challenge with downloading the project, you can check the WhatsApp group. It is there. You can just
Okay.
go there and open it. I share it there in the WhatsApp group.
So if one person has got, everybody has got it. in your, because he's shared it also in your WhatsApp group. Okay. Chalo. Okay, then we can finish for today. And we have covered all these topics. So it was, I am quite that hopeful that you will be studying all these and try to learn, do your assignments fast, and then study for the term and exam and do well in the exams. Okay, bye bye. Then.
Bye bye. Thank you, sir.
Bye bye.
Have
Thank
a
you,
nice
sir.
day.
Bye bye.
Really
Bye bye.
appreciate. Thank you. Bye bye.